Listen to me. You gotta stop waiting for the big moment to clap for yourself. You gotta stop waiting for the major milestone to give yourself credit. See, some of y'all out here grinding, but you're overlooking the steps, the little wins that are building the foundation of your greatness. You woke up early today when you used to sleep in. That's a win. You said no to distractions that used to pull you back. That's growth. You worked on your dream today, even for an hour. Clap for that. Look, champions aren't made by the big moments. They're building a tiny, everyday decision. You think Kobe by waiting for game day? He celebrated hitting 100 free throws in practice. Some of you are depressed because you're focused on the mountaintop and forgetting that every step is part of the climb. You ain't gotta be where you wanna be yet, but don't ignore the progress. Don't overlook what you've overcome. Because if you can celebrate the small wins, you'll build the confidence, the momentum, and the mindset to go get the bigs. So from now on, every day you push forward, I want you to recognize it. Clap for yourself. Dance if you have to. Journal it, whatever it takes. Just don't let your progress go unnoticed. Remember, the small wins add up to a big legacy. Celebrate them. Stay hungry, stay hungry, stay humble. Let's get it. Listen to me. I need you to catch this right now. You're out here praying for big breakthroughs, right? You want the dream job. You want the business to blow up. You want that six-pack, that degree, that recognition. I see the hunger, but you're overlooking something critical. You're ignoring the very thing that's going to get you there. You're overlooking the small wins. Now, I get it. They don't look sexy. They don't go viral. Ain't nobody clapping for you because you got up at 5 a.m. and made your bed. Ain't nobody giving you a standing ovation because you saved $10 this week instead of blowing it on stuff you don't need. Nobody's reposting your story because you said a no to temptation. But I'm telling you, those small wins, that's the game. That's the secret. See, momentum is not magic. It's motion. It's you doing something so consistently that it starts to roll on its own. Think about a snowball. You take that little thing, roll it a bit, and at first, it's just a handful of snow, nothing major. But the more you roll it, the more you keep it moving, it starts getting bigger and bigger. That's how momentum works in your life. But the problem with most people is they stop pushing too early. They roll that ball a couple feet, they look up, and they're like, this ain't working, but it is working. You just stopped before it got rolling. Look, greatness ain't built in big chunks. It's built in small, consistent victories. You don't write a book in a day. You write one page at a time. You don't get fit in one gym session. You show up day after day, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. You don't build a relationship on one grand romantic gesture. You build it through daily acts of love and respect, small wins every single day. I'm not just preaching this. I lived it. I was homeless. I was eating out of trash cans. Nobody knew my name. Nobody cared about my story. And if I had waited for a big break, I'd still be on the streets. But I didn't. I took the small win of waking up early. I took the small win of walking into a school and volunteering my time. I took the small win of speaking to 10 kids in a classroom like it was 10,000 in an arena. And guess what? That created momentum. One teacher talked to another teacher. One student told their parent. One video turned into 100. Now here I am. But it started with small wins. Here's the truth. When you start stacking those small victories, they give you power. They build belief. You start to think, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. That belief, that's your fuel. And when you got belief, you start taking bigger steps. You're not afraid to reach out. You're not afraid to put yourself out there. You're not afraid to fail because you know you've already conquered something small. And if you did that, you can do more. But the enemy wants you to ignore the small stuff, wants you to think it don't matter, wants you to think you're only successful when you got the house, the money, the followers, the car. Lies. The most dangerous mindset you can have is the one that waits. The one that says, I'll celebrate when I make it. No, you celebrate as you go. You honor the process. You clap for your progress. Because when you do that, you keep yourself moving forward. Let me break it down for you. That alarm you ignored this morning, that was a chance to win. That water you didn't drink, a chance to win. That apology you didn't give, a win you skipped. I'm telling you, the life you want is made up of those moments. Stack them. Celebrate them. Build your momentum. You You think success is a leap? Nah, it's a walk, a grind, a crawl some days. But every step counts. Now, I'm not saying you throw a party every time you check something off your list. I'm saying recognize it, reflect on it, be intentional. When you go to the gym and put in work, tell yourself that's a win. When you turn off Netflix and work on your goals instead, tell yourself that's a win. When you handle your business and keep your word, that's a win. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel it. You'll wake up one day and you'll realize you've changed. Not by accident, but by design. You know why most people quit? Because they don't feel like they're getting anywhere. They don't see progress because they're looking for fireworks. But real growth is quiet. It's subtle. It's you walking past that donut shop and not going in. It's you opening that book instead of scrolling through social. It's you sending that email, making that phone call, taking that step. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And real progress beats fake hype every single time. Some of you are sitting on your purpose right now, waiting for perfect timing, waiting until you feel ready, waiting until you're motivated. No, start now. Start with what you have. Start with who you are, and then stack your small wins like bricks. Before you know it, you build something powerful, something unstoppable, something that can't be denied. You want momentum? Then give yourself something to move with. Do one thing today that gets you closer. Then tomorrow, do one more. Don't focus on 100 things. Just win the next 5 minutes. Then the next hour. Win the day. Because every day you win, even in the smallest way, you are moving. And moving, that's your edge. I need you to stop underestimating the power of progress. I need you to stop downplaying your effort. I need you to stop looking for perfection and start looking for patterns. If you win small and you win often, eventually you win big. But only if you keep going. So from this moment forward, I want you to commit. No more waiting for big moments. No more comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. No more quitting because progress feels slow. You hear me? You celebrate the small wins. You take the steps. You build the momentum, and you let that compound into something the world can't ignore. You don't need a miracle. You need movement. You don't need permission. You need persistence. One win at a time. Stack them. Own them. Celebrate them. And watch what happens when you keep that snowball rolling. Let me break something down for you that most people will never tell you. You've been taught to celebrate when the results show up. When you hit the goal. When you cross the finish line. But that mindset is killing your drive. It's stealing your joy. It's sabotaging your journey. It's sabotaging your journey. You're waiting for the end when you should be celebrating the process. You should be celebrating discipline. Because that's where the victory really lives. See, results don't just happen. Nobody wakes up with a six-pack. Nobody opens their eyes and suddenly has $1 million. Nobody just stumbles into a degree, into a career, into greatness. It's the discipline, day in and day out, that creates those results. And if you're only clapping when the prize shows up, you're missing the most important part of the journey, the grind. I need you to stop ignoring your effort. I need you to stop overlooking the moments where you chose character, where you chose commitment, where you chose to push through even when it was hard. That's what separates the average from the elite. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not connections. It's discipline. The ability to show up when it's not easy. The power to choose your purpose over your feelings. You've got to get to the place where you honor that discipline, where you recognize it, where you see the value in doing what needs to be done, even when the payoff isn't instant. That's the thing right there. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. But the real ones keep grinding because they know who they're becoming in the process. You showed up to the gym today and your body doesn't look different yet. That's okay. Celebrate the fact that you were disciplined. You wrote 1 page today and the book isn't finished. That's fine. Clap for the discipline. You ate clean for 1 day and you're not down 10 pounds. Doesn't matter. You're building discipline, and that is the foundation for everything you're chasing. Discipline is a muscle. You don't get strong overnight. You build it with reps. You build it every time you say yes to the right thing and no to the easy thing. You build it every time you choose to rise instead of rest. And when you celebrate that, when you give yourself credit for those disciplined choices, you train your brain to keep going. You create momentum. You create consistency. And that's when the results finally show up. But most people don't think like that. Most people are waiting for the scale to move before they feel proud. They're waiting for the bank account to grow before they feel successful. They're waiting for someone else to tell them they're doing a good job. Let me tell you something. If you need external validation to keep going, you'll never make it. Because the process, it's lonely, it's quiet, it's repetitive, it's not always exciting, but it's essential. And that's why you gotta learn to celebrate your discipline. That's why you gotta start seeing every day you stick to the plan as a win. Not just when the trophies come out, not just when people notice, but every single time you choose growth over comfort. That's worth clapping for. Let's be real. The people you admire, the ones who are out there doing big things, they didn't get there because they celebrated the results. They got there because they respected the work. They built habits. They kept promises to themselves. They showed up even when no one's watching. And over time, that discipline created the results. You want to know how I went from being a high school dropout to getting a PhD? Discipline. You want to know how I went from being homeless to speaking in front of thousands? Discipline. Not motivation, not luck, not shortcuts. Just daily, consistent, painful discipline. Waking up early, studying when I was tired, reading when I wanted to relax, serving when I wanted to sit. I celebrated the days I didn't feel like doing it and did it anyway. I clapped for myself when I turned in an assignment on time. I gave myself credit when I skipped Netflix and hit the books. Because I knew if I can celebrate the discipline, the results would come. And they did. Too many of you are measuring the wrong thing. You're measuring your success by likes and followers, by money and applause. But those things come and go. What stays? The habits, the discipline, the character you build in the dark. Stop measuring your discipline. Did you follow your schedule today? That's a win. Did you say no to temptation? That's a win. Did you work on your goals even for 30 minutes? That's a win. That's how you start stacking confidence. That's how you build self-respect. Because when you keep the promises you make to yourself, you don't need external rewards. You become your own validation. Let me tell you something else. Results are slow. Real results take time. And that's where most people lose. Because they think discipline is supposed to bring instant rewards. It's not. Discipline is an investment. And just like any investment, you might not see the return today. You might not see it next week. But it's coming if you stay faithful to the process. And here's the part nobody talks about. Discipline builds identity. When you act with discipline, you stop seeing yourself as a failure. You stop identifying with your past mistakes. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who gets things done, someone who's capable of more. And when your identity shifts, your whole life shifts. But you won't get there if you only celebrate the outcome. You gotta fall in love with the process. You gotta learn to appreciate the grind. You got to see value in the sacrifice because that's the soil where greatness grows. So what does that look like? It means journaling your progress. It means telling yourself, I did it when you show up on a hard day. It means setting up small checkpoints where you acknowledge the steps, not just the destination. It means being proud of your routine, proud of your effort, proud of your commitment, even when no one else sees it. It means waking up tomorrow and saying, I'm not chasing perfection, I'm chasing consistency, because consistency is the child of discipline. And discipline, that's the parent of success. So don't wait for the big moment. Don't wait until you cross the finish line to feel good. Feel good now. Clap now. Dance now. Reward yourself now because you chose discipline. Because you did what most people won't do. And that choice, that's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. If you get this, if you really get it, you'll start moving different. You'll stop quitting. You'll stop comparing. You'll stop doubting. And you'll start stacking small wins, daily disciplines, quiet victories that turn into loud success stories. So today, choose discipline. And when you do, celebrate it. Not for the world to see, but for you. Because you're not just building results. You're building a legacy. You've got big dreams, right? You've got goals so big they scare you. You want to level up. You want to break generational curses. You want to go places nobody in your family's ever been. I feel that. I respect that. But let me tell you something that most people don't understand. You don't get to those dreams by waiting for the big moment. You get there by stacking small wins, one on top of the other. You build confidence not from the mountaintop, but from climbing step by step. Listen to me, greatness doesn't come all at once. It comes in increments. It comes in moments of obedience, in tiny victories, in the small decisions you make every single day. It's in getting up when you said you would. It's in making the call when you didn't feel like it. It's in choosing discipline over distraction. Every one of those things is a win. And every time you do it, you put one brick in the wall of your success. The problem is most people don't see it that way. They ignore the small wins. They say, oh, that's nothing. It was only 5 minutes. I only read 1 page. I only saved $10. But let me tell you something. You're training yourself. You're telling your mind that you're someone who shows up, someone who does what they said they do, someone who doesn't need a stadium full of applause to take the next step. And when you start thinking like that, that's when the game changes. You don't build confidence from hype. You build confidence from evidence. You build it from proof, from the receipts. And what are the receipts? They're the small wins. The ones nobody saw. The ones you didn't even think mattered. But they matter. They matter more than you know. Because every time you get a win, no matter how small, you're telling your inner critic to shut up. You're shutting down that voice that says you're not good enough, not consistent enough, not strong enough. And you're replacing it with truth. With a look what I just did. Let me give it to you straight. Small wins are fuel. They're the energy that keeps you moving. When you're tired, when it's hard, when you don't see results, when nobody's clapping for you, when the dream still feels far away. Small wins are how you keep going. They create momentum. And once you got momentum, you become dangerous. There's momentum is what breaks through walls. Momentum is what carries you past resistance. You ever notice how it's hardest to get started? How the first step feels like lifting 1,000 pounds. That's because you don't have momentum yet. But once you start stacking those small wins, you start moving and it gets easier. Not because life gets easier, but because you're getting stronger. You've built belief. You built rhythm. You built momentum. It's like this. The first time you run a mile, it's brutal. Your lungs burn. Your legs ache. You want to quit halfway through. But if you stick with it, if you run that mile again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, eventually you run a mile and barely feel it. That's momentum. That's what small wins create. And don't get it twisted. It's not just about habits. It's about identity. Every win you stack is you voting for the person you want to become. Every time you keep your word, you're saying, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. Every time you finish what you start, you're saying, I'm consistent. I'm reliable. I'm disciplined. And those votes, over time, they turn into truth. They become who you are. That's why you can't downplay your progress. I don't care if you lost 1 pound, celebrate it. I don't care if you made 1 sale, celebrate it. I don't care if you worked on your business for 10 minutes, celebrate it. Because that 1 pound proves the process works. That 1 sale shows you can do it. That 10 minutes shows you're showing up. That's power. But here's the thing. You have to be intentional about it. You have to recognize the wins. Don't wait for someone else to pat you on the back. You better be your own cheerleader, your own motivator, your own source of praise. Journal the wins. Track the progress. Speak it out loud. Tell yourself, I did that. Because the more you focus on the wins, the more wins you'll create. It's a feedback loop. Wins lead to confidence. Confidence leads to action. Action leads to more wins. And the cycle continues. You start seeing yourself differently. You start walking different. You start walking different, talking different, moving different. Because now you're not hoping to become successful. You know it's happening. You know you're on the path. Why? Because you got evidence. Let me tell you something personal. I didn't become the Eric Thomas you see today overnight. I was grinding in the shadows long before I ever got a stage. I was putting in work when nobody was watching. Studying, reading, speaking at middle schools, churches, detention centers, stacking those small wins every single day. And each one built my belief. Each one built my voice. And eventually, those little wins turned into big victories. You want a championship life? Then you better start appreciating the practice days. You want to build a legacy? Then start by building a routine. You want to be a leader? Then lead yourself first. With small intentional wins that nobody will see but you. Let me tell you, that's where real greatness starts. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadow. Not in the final product, but in the process. Not with perfection, but with progress, day after day, brick by brick. And don't be discouraged by how far you still have to go. Be encouraged by how far you've already come. That's what small wins do. They remind you that you're moving. That you're not the same person you were last week, last month, last year. You're evolving. You're becoming. And that deserves to be acknowledged. So here's what I need you to do. Starting today, every time you make the right choice, write it down. Every time you resist the urge to quit, say it out loud. Every time you take a step toward your goals, feel it in your spirit and celebrate it. Not because it's the finish line, but because it's proof that you're still in the race, that you haven't given up, that you're becoming who you were born to be. Small wins may look small on the outside, but on the inside, they're massive. They build your heart, your mindset, your identity, and over time to build your legacy. So never, ever underestimate them. You want to change your life. Don't wait for the big break. Don't wait for the applause. Don't wait for permission. Start now. Start small. Start stacking wins and watch what happens. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how your energy rises. Watch how your vision sharpens. Because once you start believing in your ability to win, even in small ways, there's nothing you can't do, nothing you can't overcome, nothing you can't build. So let's go. One win at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. Build your confidence, build your momentum, and become unstoppable. Let me tell you something most people overlook. Your mindset is everything. Everything before the breakthrough, before the money, before the recognition, before the growth, it all starts right here. In your mind, that's where the battle is won or lost. But here's what they don't teach you in school or at your job. If you want to build a winning mindset, you better start by celebrating small wins. Yeah, I said it. You better start clapping for yourself. You better start giving yourself credit for every inch you move forward. Because that's how you shift your perspective from lack to abundance, from fear to faith, from stuck to unstoppable. Too many people walking around with a negative mindset and they don't even realize it. Why? Because they're only looking at what they haven't done. They're focused on how far they still have to go, on what they haven't achieved yet. So every day they wake up already defeated, already feeling behind, already comparing their story to somebody else's highlight reel. Real, let me tell you, comparison kills gratitude. And without gratitude, your mind turns dark real quick. You want to fix that? You want to turn your mind into a battlefield for greatness? Then start looking at what you have done. Start acknowledging the progress you've already made. I don't care if it's one step forward, 1 pound lost, one bad habit broken. Celebrate that. Don't wait until the mountaintop to start clapping. Clap on the climb. Clap on the crawl. Clap when you're still struggling but still showing up. Listen to me. Every time you recognize a small win, you reinforce a positive belief. You tell yourself, I'm moving forward. I'm learning. I'm growing. That creates momentum, creates hope. That creates joy, and joy is fuel, y'all. Joy gives you energy when life tries to drain you. A positive mindset gives you fire when circumstances try to smother you. But it starts with your focus. It starts with choosing to see the win instead of only seeing the work ahead. The world is already negative enough. Life throws enough pressure, pain, and problems your way. You don't need to be another voice tearing yourself down. You need to be your number one encourager. You need to look in the mirror and say, I may not be there yet, but I'm not who I used to be. I'm better today than I was yesterday. And when you say that, mean it, believe it. Let that truth settle into your bones. Let that mindset shift become your daily fuel. Celebrating small wins trains your brain to expect progress. It rewires your thinking. Your subconscious starts scanning for good things, will grow for effort. And the more you look for it, the more you find, the more you find. You start seeing success everywhere. Not because life magically changed, but because you changed the lens you're looking through. And when your mind is set on progress, on gratitude and what's working, you become a magnet for more. See, people think mindset is just something you're born with. But it's not. It's something you build day by day through repetition, through focus, through the story you keep telling yourself. And if the story you're telling yourself is I'm failing, I'm behind, I'm not enough, you'll never feel like you're winning, even if you are. That's why celebration is critical. It breaks that negative cycle. It interrupts the doubt. It redefines your reality. And I get it. Maybe you were raised in an environment where you weren't taught to celebrate progress. Maybe it was all or nothing. You either won big or it didn't matter. Maybe nobody clapped for you when you got better, only when you got perfect. Let me break that mindset right now. Progress is enough to celebrate. Effort is enough to recognize. The process is worthy of praise. You don't need to be perfect to be proud of yourself. You just need to be moving. Let me ask you, do you celebrate brushing your teeth? Probably not. But imagine if you didn't do it for a week, or a month, or a year. Now you see the value, right? Some actions are so small, we forget how powerful they are. But when you string them together, when you repeat them with consistency, they become habits. And those habits become your character. And that character, that's what shapes your destiny. So when you wake up early instead of hitting snooze, that's a win. When you choose water over soda, that's a win. When you say a no to distractions and yes to your dreams, that's a win. And when you stack those wins, one after the other, you create momentum. And guess what else? You create joy. You create pride. You create peace. Because now you're not waiting on success to feel good. You're feeling good on the way to success. Too many people attach their joy to a distant outcome. I'll be happy when I make 6 figures. I'll celebrate when I hit my goal weight. Well, I'll be proud when I buy the house. No, don't do that to yourself. Don't delay your joy. Celebrate now. Find something right now in this moment to be proud of. Find one decision you made this week that moved you forward. I promise it's there. You just have to shift your focus. Let me be real with you. Life is too short to walk around defeated every day. You've got too much potential, too much fire, too much purpose to be walking around thinking you're losing just because you haven't arrived yet. You are becoming. Every day you wake up and try again, you are becoming. Every time you fall but get back up, you are becoming. And that is worth celebrating. You want to build a mindset that can survive the storm? Then learn how to celebrate in the rain. Learn how to find light when it's still dark. That's the mindset that separates the greats from the average. That's the mindset that pushes people through rejection, through obstacles, through pain. That's the mindset that changes families, changes legacies, changes lives, and don't keep the celebration private either. Talk about it. Tell your circle. Tell your circle. Let your people know, hey, I didn't hit the big goal yet, but I made progress. Because the more you normalize celebrating effort, the more your community grows with you. And guess what? That energy becomes contagious. Positivity spreads. Growth multiplies. You lift each other up, and that's how movements are built. So let me challenge you. From this moment forward, become obsessed with tracking progress. Not perfection, not outcomes. Progress, write it down. Speak it out loud. Reflect on it daily. Keep a win journal. Call it whatever you want. But make it part of your lifestyle. Make it part of your identity. Because when you do that, your mindset transforms. You stop waiting for confidence and start building it. You stop wishing for motivation and stop doubting your ability and stop believing it and start believing in it. Every great thing starts with one decision, one action, one moment. Celebrate those. Multiply those, honor those, and soon enough you'll wake up and realize the dream you were chasing, you've already been living it, one small win at a time. Everybody wants to be great, but nobody wants to build greatness one brick at a time. They want the mansion without laying the foundation. They want the championship without showing up to practice. They want the 6-figure income, the 6-pack abs, the 6-bedroom house, but they don't want to embrace the small wins it takes to build those dreams. But listen to me right now. If you want long-term success, if you want that real legacy level success, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen inch by inch, step by step, win by win. Small wins are the blueprint to your breakthrough. Let me break it down for you. Success is not one big leap. It's not one lottery ticket. It's not one viral video, one lucky connection, one big break. That's a myth. That's fantasy. Real success Sustainable success is a result of consistent effort over time. It's about stacking the small wins, day in and day out, until they turn into something massive. It's like compound interest. One small win may not seem like much today, but you stack 100 of them, 1,000 of them. That's a life transformation. You look at anyone who's at the top of their game, business, athletics, education, leadership, it doesn't matter the industry. I guarantee you behind the scene is small wins every single day. Waking up early, reading the extra chapter, sending the email no one else wants to send, practicing when nobody's watching, resisting distractions, choosing discipline. These are not glamorous. These don't make the highlight reels. But that's what greatness is built on. That's the real grind. You want to know the difference between winners and everyone else? Losers wait for motivation. Winners build systems. They create habits. They don't rely on emotion to show up. They rely on structure. And structure is nothing but a series of small intentional choices made consistently over time. That's it. That's the game. But most people lose because they underestimate the power of small steps. They think it's insignificant. They want big results for little effort. They want to jump from A to Z without ever mastering B through Y. I'm telling you right now, small wins matter. When you set a goal and achieve even a tiny piece of it, you reinforce belief. You tell yourself, I'm capable, I'm progressing, I can do this. And belief is everything. Belief is what carries you through the seasons where results aren't visible yet. When the bank account doesn't reflect the work, when the mirror doesn't show the progress, when nobody's clapping for you. Belief is what keeps you going, and small wins are the fuel for that belief. Here's the other thing, when you focus on small win, you stop being overwhelmed. See, one of the biggest killers of dreams is overwhelm. You look at the whole mountain and say, I could never climb that. You look at the business you want to build, the weight you want to lose, the skill you want to master, and it seems too far, too hard, too big. When you break it down, when you focus on one day, one task, one win, now it becomes manageable. Now you're making progress. Now you're not paralyzed by fear. You're propelled by action. Success loves momentum, and momentum doesn't start with a miracle. It starts with a move, one decision. And when you celebrate that, when you recognize it, when you honor the effort you just gave, it reinforces the habit. That's how you build discipline. That's how you build confidence. That's how you build consistency. And consistency is the engine of long-term success. Some of y'all keep quitting not because you're not good enough, but because you're not seeing enough results fast enough. You're expecting a harvest the same week you planted the seed. That's not how it works. This is the long game. This is legacy work. This is about playing for impact, not just applause. So stop measuring your progress in miles. Measure it in inches, in reps, in hours studied, in days showed up. Because when you look back over a year, over 5 years, you'll realize all those inches move you miles. All those little wins, they stacked up into a big one. Let me give it to you real. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to push you every day. It's on you to track your wins. It's on you to find meaning in the progress. It's on you to take ownership of your development. And the best way to do that is by keeping score, not in comparison to others, but in reflection of yourself. What did you do better than yesterday? Where did you improve? Where did you stay consistent when you didn't feel like it? That's where the power is. That's how you dominate in the long run. You want to be a champion? You want to lead? You want to become the best version of yourself? Then you better start respecting the small win. You better start understanding that every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose growth over comfort, every time you choose forward motion over stagnation, you are building something. You are investing in your future self. You are laying bricks that nobody sees until the house is built. And that's another thing. You may not see the results right away. Small wins are invisible at first. It's like planting a seed underground. You water it, you nurture it, but for weeks, maybe months, you don't see a thing. But underground, the roots are forming, the foundation is being laid, and when the time is right, boom, growth explodes. People call it overnight success. But you know better. You know it was 1,000 small wins they never saw. It was the lonely grind, the early morning, the late nights, the sacrifices made in silence. So stop doubting your path just because it's taking time. Stop quitting just because it's slow. Stop talking yourself out of greatness just because it doesn't feel glamorous yet. Stay in the game. Keep stacking, keep showing up, keep winning the day. Because the only thing separating you from your goals is consistency in the little things. That's the secret. That's the formula. That's the way. And here's the last thing I'll say. When you honor small wins, you build identity. You're not just doing the work. You're becoming the type of person who does the work. You go from I want to be successful to I am someone who shows up. I'm someone who follows through. I am someone who doesn't quit. That identity, that's unshakable. That's what lasts. That's what carries you through the storms, the rejections, the setbacks. That's what makes you dangerous. So today, don't chase the big win. Chase the right choice. Don't wait for the applause. Clap for yourself. Don't wait for permission. Give it to yourself. Don't chase the outcome. Fall in love with the process. And remember, small wins stack daily. Create massive results. This is how you build the life you were meant to live. One decision at a time. One win at a time. You don't need a miracle. You just need today. Let's go. And so now that you've heard it, you have a choice. You can walk away from this message and go back to your routine, go back to your habits, go back to your comfort zone. Or you can make a decision today, right here, right now, that you're not playing small anymore. That you're not brushing off the little victories anymore. That you're done waiting for some magical moment, some big break, some miracle to come knocking on your door. You can decide that from this moment forward, you're going to respect every inch of progress like it matters, because it does. Let me tell you something that might hurt at first, but it's going to heal you later. If you've been stuck, it's not because you're not talented. It's not because you're not smart. It's not because life is unfair. It's because somewhere along the way, you stopped celebrating the process. You stopped honoring the small things. You stopped counting the wins that didn't come with applause. You stopped believing that progress in silence was still progress. You started only believing in what people could see. But greatness doesn't begin in the spotlight. Greatness is born in the dark. Every seed that grows into a tree starts underground. You don't see the root system. You don't see the slow, steady grind under the surface. But the roots, they matter more than the branches. Because if the roots aren't deep, the tree can't stand the storm. And some of you are so focused on having branches full of fruit that you're ignoring the root work. You're skipping the steps that feel too small. You want the platform, the follower, the income, the accolades, but you don't want to sit in the stillness and grind in the shadows. Let me make it clear. There's no fast path to fulfillment. There's no shortcut to the legacy. What's going to separate you from the person next to you is not a leap. It's not one massive moment. It's the accumulation of daily choices. The ones no one claps for. The ones no one knows about. The ones you make when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're scared, when you're alone. And you still show up. You still rise. You still push. The people you admire, the ones who are doing what you dream of doing, they got their one small win at a time. And the only difference between them and you is that they didn't stop. They didn't quit when the win felt too small to matter. They didn't wait for motivation. They honored the process. They committed to it. And now their momentum is massive. But it didn't start that way. It started with the decision you have the power to make right now. Understand me clearly. You are always building something. Every day with every choice. You're either building a future you're proud of or one you'll regret. There's no neutral ground. Either you're getting closer or you're drifting further away. That's why small wins matter. Because they're not small in impact, they're small in appearance. They look small to the world, but they're massive for your identity. They're massive for your momentum. They're massive for your belief system. See, belief is the engine behind everything. If you don't believe you're capable, you won't try. If you don't believe effort leads to results, you won't push. If you don't believe the small wins matter, you'll keep waiting for the big one and wasting time. But when you start stacking those wins, when you start tracking them, celebrating them, honoring them, you reprogram your brain. You start seeing yourself differently. You go from a maybe I can't to a this is who I am. This is why it's not just about achievement. It's about identity. Every time you finish that workout, even when it's hard, you tell yourself, I'm someone who finishes. Every time you keep your word to yourself. Wake up early, make the call, study that chapter. Keep that promise. You're building trust in you. And that self-trust, that's everything. That's what keeps you moving when everything around you tells you to stop. That's what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. But here's the kicker. You've got to decide to see it that way. You got to be intentional. You got to be aware. Because the world isn't going to throw you a parade for waking up on time. It's not going to give you a trophy for saying no to distractions. It's not going to celebrate your invisible efforts. That's your job. You got to learn to clap for yourself. You got to learn to recognize your own effort. You got to learn to see your growth even when no one else does. Because if you wait for external validation, you're giving your power away. You're putting your purpose in someone else's hand. You're making your progress dependent on other people's opinions. And that's dangerous. That's fragile. Real success, the kind that lasts, is built on internal validation. It's built on a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from honoring your own grind, your own process, your own growth. So let's bring it home. If you want to be elite, if you want to be great, not just for a season, but for life, then you better master the art of small wins. You better commit to consistency over intensity. You better fall in love with doing the right thing, even when it's not exciting, even when it's not glamorous, even when it's boring. Because the boring work, that's the difference maker. That's where champions are made. And you don't need to wait for tomorrow to start. You don't need permission. You don't need everything to be perfect. You just need one win today. That's it. Just one. Wake up on time. Read 10 pages. Eat one clean meal. Make that call you've been avoiding. Say no to one temptation. Take one uncomfortable step. That's all it takes to shift the trajectory. Then do it again tomorrow, then the next day. And watch what happens. Watch how your confidence explodes. Watch how your results multiply. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how you start walking different, talking different, thinking different, being different. Because the truth is this, small wins don't just lead to long-term success. They become who you are. They form the backbone of your discipline. They shape your habits. They mold your mindset. And when all that changes, your life changes. You want a different life, stack different wins. You want better results? Build better routine. You want legacy? Build it brick by brick. Not by luck, not by chance, by choice. So don't underestimate today. Don't downplay the moment. Don't dismiss the win because it didn't make headlines. This is how it starts right now, this moment, this decision. Because in the end, it's not the big win that changes your life. It's the small win you chose not to ignore. The small win you stacked. The small win you believed in. That's the win that changed everything. Now go get it. One win, then another, and another. Until one day the world looks at you and calls it success. But you'll know better. You'll know it was never about one big moment. It was always about how you showed up every single day. That's how you win for life. That's how you build something no one can take from you. That's how you become unstoppable. Let's get it.